was just trying to get my blend up so I can go do some draggies. The weather's good. The DA is amazing. It's under 1,000 right now, which is rare here. It's usually over 1,000. 1,300 is considered good. Summertime, you're looking at almost like 4,000, which is, you're just asking for crappy numbers. But I'm just trying to get used to launching on these tires and seeing what the car can do. Enjoy the install, and once again, thank you guys for watching, and lots more content coming. I got hours and hours of install footage, lots of detail, and I'm trying to cut all the fat that I can, but sometimes you just got to throw the detail in there. And I'm sorry it's not as exciting as other YouTube videos out there, but the main goal is to get a proper install portrayed on the video for you guys, so that you can see that it can be done at home with no power tools, just jack stands and basic hand tools, and a nice guide for you to walk you through the whole process. Just making sure these are all gapped. There's a few that were a little tight, so. Okay guys, I'm not gonna make a huge ordeal about changing spark plugs, because this isn't that video. But if I find something that needs worth mentioning, something difficult, maybe on the other side, I'll bring it up. But what I'm doing right now, just so you guys know, is I'm doing one cylinder at a time. So I'm doing number 8 right now. This is number 8. I'm taking off the original coil. Here's the original. And I'm going to add this one once I remove the spark plug. And just so you guys know, I have a universal piece, and I also have this magnet socket. It's made by Logo, whatever that is. This is a 5/8 spark plug remover, so I don't have to worry about needing a magnet after I remove it. And then I also have a torque wrench. The recommended torque for spark plugs on our cars is between 20 and 30 Newton meters. So I have it set to 25. This is coming out kind of hard the whole way. So my car had no running issues prior to upgrading these, so I'm not expecting these to be in bad shape or anything like that. It looks pretty healthy. So these are Denso FK20 HBRs. I'm actually gonna just put these back in the package, and for some reason I ever need to put them back, or I have one that fails, I have emergency spark plugs left. So I will put one back at a time as I replace them. Back in the box. Grab one of these guys. I love this socket. I don't think I need the universal on this one because it's not a weird angle, and I don't want to cross thread it. Alright, this is set to 25 Newton meters.
There we go. It's actually kind of tight. It's a lot tighter than I expected. Alright, so we got one done. Now we're going to put the high spark coil in there. There we go. And plug this little guy in. Alright, let's take the coil out. Now it's just a matter of where the fuck did I put that screw at? Oh, here it is. Jesus. Freaking out. Alright, I'm gonna put these back here. Alright guys, real quick, number 4, you're going to want to use a pry bar against the side of this fuel injector fucking driver thing. Just put it on the shock strut, pry on it a little bit, and you'll get that bitch right out. Alright, so spark plug number 1, just make sure you remove the main harness so that you can get your hands in there and do what you got to do. So that's the tip for that one. Alright guys, the odd side is done now too. All of the high spark coils are in there, and the only thing that I have to kind of give you guys some advice on is, see this bracket right here? If you pry that up, you can get a driver through there for cylinder number 5. So you can get enough of a gap ender that you get a extension straight through there. Without that, you're kind of dicking around the top over here, and it's a pain in the ass, but that's pretty much it. So, okay, spark plugs are done. Now we can get back to the supercharger install. Let's fucking go. All right, guys, it's time to get the crank pulley in. And one of the things you'll want to make sure of is to remember how your pulleys go. That's one thing. I don't have, I have an aftermarket hood, but I believe the OEM hood has the lineup, a little picture on it. I can't remember, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But the first thing we're gonna do here is there is a tensioner pulley right here. So get yourself a 14, is this 14? Yes, 14 millimeter socket with a little extension. I'm using a small breaker bar. And what you wanna do here is just put enough pressure on it. You see it loosening up? This is your belt tensioner. So you're going to want to put a little bit of pressure on it and then let it release, and the belt will come right off. So there it is. The belt is off, and where in the hell is it? Okay, we want to slide that off. I think I can finish taking it off from underneath. Might be the easiest route because I can actually see what I'm doing and where it's catching at. Alright, so step number 2 for you guys is I didn't get instructions on how to put this pulley on. It's basically replacing your harmonic balancer. Oh, I see. It's catching on a sensor over here. Okay, so I'll have to pull off one of those little sensor clips to get it off. But I know that you stick one of these extensions right into the center of the pulley. I gotta see if mine has it. I know the ISF does, and basically it's gonna keep it from catching. So I'm gonna rotate the harmonic balancer. This will go into one of the little holes of the pulley until it catches on the engine block. And once it catches on the engine block, then you can use a large breaker bar to get that out of there. And I think the socket that I'm using is a 7/8. 7/8 or I think 22 millimeter. I'll double check right now. But first I'm gonna get that belt completely off. All right, I got the belt off. The wire that was in the way was this one right here. You have to unclip it to be able to get the belt off. So now that it's off, if you guys can see, I can stick something in here. See that? So this is what's gonna help me turn this without needing a second person or anything crazy to like. So this is gonna wedge in there. So I'm gonna turn it. Oh my God, come on. There we go. And then this is a 7/8. Is that what it is? Yep, 7/8. And here's my little breaker bar. So right now I'm just gonna put some tension on it. Sorry guys, this should turn pretty easy. It's gonna turn the crank. Well, maybe not that easy. Okay, it's in the casting now. There we go. So I can break it loose now, at least in theory. So I have a 250-pound torque wrench that I can use, but I also have this breaker bar. It's a extendable. It's kind of nice. So use what you got. I will record once I break it loose. Alright, so let's see if I can break it loose. This should be lefty-loosey. Fuck, God damn. Alright, it's loose. It is not easy. But we got it. This is a pretty long bolt, so you want to use a deep socket so you don't like fuck up the head trying to get it off. Holy shit, look at this bolt. Wow. That's fucking heavy duty. Alright. As far as getting off the harmonic balancer, it's supposed to be able to wedge it back and forth, but first what we're gonna do is we need to spin it a little bit so we can get this 3/8 extension out of here, because I think this wedging it is probably causing a little bit of tension on it. But let's just see what it looks like on the inside. Somewhere in here there's supposed to be a key. Can't see. Right here? There it is. That's the keyhole. Alright, let me figure out the next step and I'll start recording. Alright, so I was able to get the 3/8 socket extension out of there by doing this. See these little teeth right here? I put my pry bar on there and I used the oil filter casing. It's a very light little nudge you got to give it, and it'll be enough to move it, and then you can get the extension out. And now what I'm going to try is I'm going to just get this in here and wiggle it back and forth to see if it comes out. The problem is I'm going to have to face the camera this way. in case it drops on me. I need to be able to hold it. So here's a harmonic balancer. Alright, so here's what I'm doing is I can feel it moving. It's coming out. Got it. Alright. I just hit my knuckles. Fucking transmission lines in the way. Alright, we got it out. Check it out. Fuck yeah. Just in case you guys know, this is your top dead center mark here for timing. There's a key that we were looking for. So this is what guides your harmonic balancer in. As far as the R racing one goes, they give you this thing to hold it. This helps you hold it, but the screws aren't long enough to go in there. So what I have to do is take off this part, right? And instructions, like everything else, are pretty fucking vague. So this comes off, and then I can use a tool, which I'm thankful for. I'm glad they included that. I'm sure there's other ways to figure out how to tighten this shit, but this has to be tightened at 246, is that what this says? 243 foot-pounds. So my thought is put this on there, and I think I can get the jack to hold this for me while I'm torquing it. So I'll lift the jack high enough that this pushes on it, or this will touch the engine somewhere, maybe. So we'll see once I put it on. It might touch the engine. So my thought is this goes on last, I think. So why is this wet right here? What does this mean? I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna make sure I put it on the same way. So I'm gonna put a little mark right there. Okay. I don't know if that dot means anything, but I made a mark here so I can put it exactly the same way it was before. So now I can put the tool on here, and then I can mount this guy in. But I'm gonna check all the torques for the screws that are on there. I believe that's on this page somewhere. Right here. There's all the torques. It doesn't have the harmonic balancer bolts. That's fucking great. So there's no torque specs for these guys. Huh. $20 foot-pounds, 5 foot-pounds. Supercharger bolts probably, because that's aluminum. Some of these, like, you don't want to go too crazy because you're torquing onto aluminum. 30 foot-pounds. So this is going on metal, right? These would be higher. So I'm looking for something that's aluminum. 20 foot-pounds, 20 foot-pounds, 20 foot-pounds. These are all going into the aluminum block. So I am gonna assume that these have to be 24 pounds because I think this is made out of aluminum. So I'm gonna use some medium Loctite on it and torque all those. I might be missing, maybe I just need to read ahead and see if they do mention that somewhere else. Recommend verifying alignments. Let's see, appendix 3, initial start of system, supercharger. Counterclockwise using half-inch rocket. Breaker bar with tensioner, fully clockwise. Install belt into supercharger. Rip pulley first, partially. Blah blah blah. Nope. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Really helping out a fellow YouTuber here. All right, that's the plan. So we're gonna install this little guy here. I think right now the key is sort of like that. You can always change this later, but I'm gonna see if this works. And then, but first, I'm gonna check what torque settings these are in right now. I was able to wiggle it in fairly easy. I did need a flashlight so I can see where I was lining up the keyhole with the new pulley's keyhole area, and you have to kind of just wiggle it back and forth, and then it'll kind of start sliding slowly in there. So I got it as far as I could with my hands, and now I have the bolt on there, and I'm just threading it in to bring it in closer. And as you can tell, it's not even hard enough to turn the engine, so it's still relatively loose. So the idea is that once it becomes flush where the bolt actually needs to be torqued, it should be lined up perfect. So there shouldn't be any need to align it. We are going to check to make sure that everything lines up just in case, but everything should be where it needs to be according to Rafi. So the alignment laser tool is just kind of an extra precaution, or I think in some instances you might drive that slightly further than it needs to be, which would knock everything out of alignment. I think maybe I don't even know how you would do that, to be honest, unless you were like hammering it on or something. But let me get to a point where I'm torquing it, and then I'll pick it up again. Alright, so I'm about to torque this, and it looks like this is the best place to have this to torque it. So just keep in mind with the position that it's in, and then we're going to start torquing it. So here's my torque bar. Fuck. There we go. So now that the first harmonic balancer pulley is on, I do want to go ahead and put the original belt back in. I'm going to show you guys how to put the original belt back on. So the last thing to go is basically going to be the alternator, which is right here where my hand is at. I'm holding tension on the cable right now on the belt. I'm going to show the diagram on how the belt goes right up here somewhere. And now I have my 14 millimeter in the tensioning pulley ready to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to relieve enough tension to slide this on the alternator. And let me see if I can leave the camera here so you guys can watch. There we go. I think I got enough. slack, and everything is lined up. Make sure that none of the areas are off. So it's on the blue one all the way. This one's the smooth side. Top one's good. Looks like it's all good. All right. So now it's time to install the main supercharger pulley bracket, and then we're gonna do a lot of fine tuning after that. But this is honestly the hardest part. That harmonic balancer. There's if you don't really know how to do everything by yourself, like the shortcuts and the little how-tos, you will have a heck of a time. But there's no room there to get an impact either, so unless you're taking like the whole radiator off, which there's really no reason to. That'd be crazy. Oh, before I forget, so right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install the supercharger pulley on, and I'm gonna put some blue Loctite on all of these, and for now I'm gonna torque them all to 30 foot-pounds, and until I can reach Rafi tomorrow and ask him for the correct foot-pounds for that, because it's not listed on the sheet, not as far as I can tell. If I find it, I'll show you guys and I'll update this. Alright guys, here's where things get fun. So install the supercharger bracket, supercharger and tensioner. Remove all the bolts from locations A, B, C, D, H, I, X, Y. Bolts X and Y are located on the passenger VVT cover. And then B, relocate the lower engine to chassis ground strap from bolt position. D, to the alternator bracket bolt. So there's a ground that has a little bracket on the bottom. I'll show you. That has to get relocated. That is right here. This little guy. So we are gonna basically unbolt it from here, and we're gonna bolt it here, and that's gonna relieve that to be open for our supercharger bracket. So what they don't show you is a picture of which bolts to take off, which is fucking annoying because I had to shove that whole thing in here a few times to figure it out. This is A bolt, B, C, D is right behind it. These are the first set of bolts that you want to put in. They all have different spacers. They labeled them with little sticky notes. So first we're going to move this ground, get it out of the way, move it here, get a little more slack under there. And it looks like this transmission line here is kind of in the way. It touches the bracket. So I'm going to put some tension on here and pry it a little bit to try to give myself enough room, get it out of the way. And then I'll show you guys where the other bolt is from the top. So from the top side, we're looking at, that's an X and Y, I believe, are right here. Those are going to extend out a little bit. And then the other bolt is right underneath here. That has to come off. So that'll hold your bracket together. The pulleys have to come off. I took mine off. There's torque settings for all of these on one of these pages. So I'll link that on the video so you guys know the proper torque specs for them. This bracket looks slightly different. My new bracket, this paper is a revision from 2022. So Jesus, I can't find my, oh, here it is. A little bit different. So mine doesn't look like this. It looks like it's got not only these two, but an additional 2 supports, and I'm wondering if this is for the 780 kit because it requires more tension. So that might be the reason why. These are the bolts for the supercharger, I believe. And then these go here, and yeah, so I label these for you guys. So here's A, B, C, D, H, I, and then these are pulley locations. This is where your alternator sits. That's all I got right now. So let me take off the engine bolts that are gonna go on this, and then what I'm gonna do is start putting these bolts with the spacers in. So just so you guys know, H, this guy right here, this looks like just a threaded piece of all thread. This isn't a bolt, so it's gonna thread in there, and I'm assuming that what's there is actually a nut, and that's gonna go over this and tying everything together with the spacer. So A, B, C, D are right here, these 3 right here. So I'm going to put these where they belong, down at the bottom, and get ready to install this after I take them off. So got to take off the first ones. That's all I got right now. So let me get a little further ahead and then I'll update. Okay, so I took bolt D. Actually, it's not even D. Yeah, it is. Well, it's C. It says D, but this is A, B, C, D is up there. So the instructions are wrong. This is the ground bracket. I cut the 2 little clips that are on the side, and then I had to use a step bit to make it the hole slightly larger so that the bolt that's bigger that holds the alternator can go through it. So now this ground bracket is going to go there like that. Boom, and it'll be out of the way. So I have the ground strap is relocated, and I did manage to bend the transmission line a little bit to give me some extra clearance here. And now the bracket is sitting, just kind of sitting on top here, but close to where they got to go. All the bolts that need to come off are off right now. They're right here on the floor. So I'm going to put these on a bag. This is probably a mistake that a lot of people make, is if you don't have these and for some reason you want to take the supercharger off later, let's say you get rear-ended, you get a new RCF and you want your boosted kit for the next car, you really need to have all your OEM shit. Actually scratch that, because if the insurance takes the car, just take as much shit as you can out of it and then call it a day. Alright, moving on. So now I'm gonna put the bolts A, B, C, and D in, and then I'll go to the top and do H and I. But for now, I need to get these at least loosely in with the spacers in the back. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'll update. I'll give you guys a little update on what's going on. Some of the bolts that I had were identical, and they weren't supposed to be. They were supposed to have different spacers on them. And so I DM'd R Racing on Facebook, and they replied right away, even though it's Sunday. I mean, they replied within a half an hour. So they're gonna overnight me the bolts on Monday, and they asked me to check to see if there was anything else missing, and turns out there is. It's really hard to go through this checklist when you first receive the kit because there is so many parts. But now that I'm installing everything, I'm a lot more familiar with what's needed. So it was a lot easier for me to check through all this. Some of this we verified I have, but I'm missing a lot of the couplers for the intercooler. So they're gonna send those to me. And nothing major is missing. Like you know, I have all the carbon parts, I have all the I have most of the T-fittings, so I don't know what happened, but there's so many parts to this kit that I'm sure it's bound to happen where something gets missed. In this scenario, I had so much of the kit that it was very hard to tell that something was missing until the install started, right? So I'm gonna get as far as I can with what I have, and then there's plenty to do still. It just sucks that I can't go in order, because I would like to follow the instructions in order the same way that anyone else would doing their kit, right? But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt the bracket with whatever bolts I have that are matching, and then I'm going to start mounting the supercharger. I have to make a little bit of space here, dent this, and there's also other things I have to do inside. So I have to run my air fuel gauge from the new port that we welded on the collector up into the top. I really didn't want to do the wiring until the very end once the car was lowered, so it was easier, and then I can move the car to the side, but we don't really have an option here. There's also some trimming and stuff we have to do in the front, some relocation of some stuff. I'm going to try to get as much done as I can until those parts come in, and then I can finish up. So it's not going to necessarily set me back too much, but it does kind of fuck up my video. So it is what it is. Alright, so I have the bracket mostly on. I'm still waiting on parts at this point, but we're going to do what we can. Just so you guys know, this threaded M10 bolt that you have to put in here, you're going to have to remove the thermostat housing to be able to get that in, because it runs into it. And to get a socket to like tighten it all the way, it's going to be a pain in the butt too. I think I can get a wrench in there with this assembled, but if you assemble it with the thermostat out of the way, you might. So what I'm going to do real quick is I am going to mount the tension pulley that goes on here, and then the other pulley guide on the bottom, and we're going to torque. This isn't on here. There's no torque settings for these guys except for this one, 32. This one's kind of cut out. Looks like it had something. I'm gonna go with 32 as well though.